Hi everyone, my name is Sanjeev. In this video, I'm going to explain Salesforce Bulk API v2 and I will demo the use of Bulk API v2 to create the account record in Salesforce. We use Salesforce Bulk API v2 to upload, query, delete large data set in Salesforce organization. We can submit the job of uploading large data set or we can submit the query to the Bulk API v2. Bulk API v2 splits the job in batches and process it in parallel. We can request the status of the job by making a separate call. We do not have to write much coding at the client side. All the batch management and other processing is handled by Bulk API v2. For demo, I will move to the Anypoint Studio now. I will create new Mule project, file, new Mule project. I will give the name Bulk API v2 Salesforce. I will click finish. Now I will add HTTP listener. I will add connector configuration. I will keep this configuration value to default. I will give the path /bulk. Now I will add the file module. Click file, drag it here. File module has been added to the project. Now I will drag read method inside flow. I will create a connector configuration. Click connection. Click working directory. Documentation, mule, data, input. So this is my working directory. Select folder, click OK. I will give the file name account.csv. Now I will add the Salesforce connector module, add module, Salesforce, drag it here. I will keep the version 10.13.3, click add. Salesforce module has been added to the project. In your case, if you do not find the Salesforce in your palette, you might need to import from Exchange. I have already created a video on how to import module from Exchange. You can watch that video. I will provide the link in the description. Now I will drag the create job bulk API v2 inside flow. I will add connector configuration. I will select the authentication mechanism. These are the available options to select the authentication mechanism to talk to Salesforce. For this demo, I will select basic authentication. Basic authentication requires username, password, and security token. To get the username, password, and security token, we need to create a developer account in Salesforce. We can use this URL to create the developer account in Salesforce. I have already created the developer account in Salesforce and I have username and security token already. So I will use this username and security token for basic authentication. I will enter username. I will copy security token. I will enter it here. Now I will enter password. Click OK. Now we need to select the object type, what kind of object we want to create. Studio is still fetching metadata from Salesforce. We have to wait a little bit. It will be populated very soon. Okay, we got the metadata. We want to create account record, so I will select the account object. Now we need to select the operation. We want to create the records, so I will select the insert operation. For line ending, I will enter CRLF because I created account.csv in Windows operating system. So I will use CRLF. Column delimiter is comma. Now I will drag the transform message component. I will change the format to JSON. And return payload to the caller of the resource. I will drag one more transport message component before create job bulk API v2. I will change the output format to CSV. So now payload format is CSV, and that's what create job bulk API requires. Now let me explain this flow. Here I added the HTTP listener and I gave the path /bulk. Then I am reading the data. It is in account.csv. Let me show you the account.csv. Here the account.csv that I have created. Here I have account number, name, annual revenue, billing city, and billing state. And I have around 500 records. So I will upload these 500 records to Salesforce Bulk API v2, and they will be inserted inside Salesforce. So this file read method will read that account.csv file, and then it will be submitted to the create job bulk API in CSV format, where we want to insert these records inside account object. Here the operation we provide insert, and then the result of the create job we will change in JSON format and return to the caller of the resource. Let me save the project, right click and run it. It will be deployed in embedded runtime inside Studio. So it's getting deployed. Okay, project has been deployed. Now I will invoke this resource. I will go to the Chrome browser. Localhost 8081. Our resource name is Bulk. Hit enter. We got the result. So this is the job ID that is created by Salesforce. This is status, upload completed. And here is the number of record failed and number of record processed. So job is just uploaded. It has not processed any record. So none of the record is failed or succeeded yet. We can check the status of this job in the Salesforce. So I will log into the Salesforce. I will enter username. I will enter password. Click login. Now I will go to the environment. Click environment. Click jobs. Click bulk data load jobs. So let me check the ID. What was our ID that we got? So we got this ID. Copy it. Go to here. Search it. So this is the job we just uploaded. And we can see the status here. Job complete. Record process 500. Record failed 0. And time taken. We can click the job ID and we can see the batch detail. So these are the batches. Here also it's saying how many record processed, how many failed, and how many retry attempt made. And this is the status. So this job is completed. We can also check the status programmatically in Studio. So I will go to the Studio and I will create the new flow to get the job status programmatically. I will drag HTTP listener. I will give the path /state. I will go to the Salesforce connector. I will search for bulk. To get the job status that we submitted, we will use get job state bulk API B2. So I will drag this inside flow. I will use query parameter to pass the job ID. Attributes dot query params dot job ID. So I will pass job underscore ID query parameter for job ID. I will drag transform message component now and change the format to JSON. Now I will save the project. Project will be redeployed. Project has been redeployed. Now I will invoke this resource /state and I will check the status of the job programmatically. Go to the Chrome in new tab, localhost, state, click enter. We need to pass the job ID parameter, job underscore ID. Now we need to get the job ID from the /bulk resource call. So this is our job ID. I will copy it from here and pass it here. So job ID we are sending as a query parameter. Click enter. We got the response. Here we can see the state job completed. In initial call, we saw state upload complete. Here we can see the job complete. And here we can see the number of record failed and number of record processed. Here we were getting number of record failed 0, number of record processed 0, and state was upload complete. Here we are getting state job complete, number of record failed 0, number of record processed 500. Now I will go back to studio. Now I will invoke this resource /bulk again. I will upload the same file. That means I will upload the same data set to the Salesforce and I will try to insert the records again. So I will go to the Chrome browser. I will invoke this resource again. So I will hit enter. With processing. Okay, we got the result. This time we got the job ID. That is a different job ID. And we got the state in progress. And here number of records failed 0, number of record passed 0. Now I will copy this ID. Now I will invoke this resource /state to know the status of the job. So I'll go back, go here, and I will copy the job ID here. Control B, click enter. Okay, we got the state job complete. Here we got number of record failed 500, number of record processed 500. So this time we got the number of record processed 500, but we also got number of record failed 500. We can go back to Salesforce. I will click back to the list. Okay, I will copy the job ID. This is job ID. We just uploaded the data and created the job. Here we are saying record process 500 and record failed 500. That's what we are getting here as well programmatically. We can click here and we can see the batch detail. It's saying batch has been completed, but records failed or records failed. Now I need to find out what went wrong and why all these records failed. So for that, I will go back to Studio and I will create few more flows to know the detail of failed record and successful records. First, I will add HTTP listener. I will give the path /successful and I will drag HTTP listener again and I will give the path /failed. I will search for retrieve now. To know the detail about the job successful result, I will drag this retrieve job successful result bulk B2. And to know the detail about job failed result, I will drag retrieve job failed result bulk B2 here. I will use query parameter to pass the job ID. Attributes dot query param dot job ID, and I will copy the same in case of failed record. I will use query parameter to send the job ID. I will add transform message component in both flow, and I will change the format of payload to JSON. And I will do the same in this flow as well. We have created two more flow. First one is to know the detail about successful result, and second one to know the detail about failed results. I will save the project, go to console, project will be redeployed. Okay, project has been redeployed. Now to know why all 500 records has been failed, when we invoke the bulk API, right here, all the records has been failed. We will invoke the slash failed resource. So I will invoke this resource and know the detail why the all records has been failed. Go back to browser, localhost slash failed. Click enter. We need to pass the job ID query parameter, and we will get the job ID from this tab. Is equal to, copy it here, click enter. Okay, so this is the result, and here is the error, duplicate detected. So all the records failed because duplicate detected, because we called this resource two times. First time they got inserted, we saw all the records processed successfully. When we call second time, they were duplicate, that's why we got this error. This is how you can know what went wrong by invoking this resource, and by using this method, retrieve job failed result bulk v2. We can know that what went wrong and why records failed. This is the way we can find out. Now I will invoke this resource to understand the successful results. For that, I will update the input file first. I will go to account.csv. I will change the name from CNAME to CNM, and I will change everywhere. And I will change the account number. I will add small a and change in all the row. So now I'm passing different value for account number and account name. I will save it. Go back to Studio. Now I will invoke this slash bulk resource to upload the bulk data and then create job bulk API will insert the data in Salesforce. So I will go to the browser. I will invoke this slash bulk resource again. Is processing. We got the result. Upload complete. This is new job ID. I will copy it because job is just uploaded. So number of record processed is 0 and number of record failed also 0. Now I will invoke the slash state resource to get the status. I will copy the job ID, click enter. Now we got the result. Job completed. Number of record failed 0. Now none of the record failed because we send the new values. And number of record processed 500. That means all record has been processed and they processed successfully. None of the record failed. Now I will invoke this failed resource. I will send the job ID, copy it, click enter. When I will click the enter, we should get the empty array. None of the record failed, so we should not get any record here. I will click enter. Okay, we got the empty array because none of the record failed, all were successful. Now I will invoke this resource. This one as successful, and we should get all the records there because all records were successful. So I will go to the browser, new tab, localhost, successful slash enter. We need to pass job underscore ID as a query parameter. Click enter. Okay, we got all 500 records and we got the created true. Everywhere created true. Created true and ID. Everywhere created true and ID. So all 500 record has been created and none of them failed. So this is how we can use bulk API v2 to create the records, to delete the records, to upsert the record, to update the records, and to query the records. So we can use this bulk API v2 for bulk data processing in the Salesforce, and we can get the status of the job that we submitted to Salesforce. We can also get the detail of how much record successfully created or updated or upserted, and what all record failed and what was the reason. I hope you understood the concept, how we can take the benefit of bulk API v2 to process the bulk data set. This is all in this video. If you like this video, click the like button and subscribe the channel. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much.